Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
Let me tell you, the dopamine, it's flowing.
I am damn excited. Damn excited.
We are so excited to be joining you guys tonight.
Oh! Well, how you doing, man? Patrick.
Will Sterling.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion, two-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Oh, he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna
And we'll see you next week. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.
All right. Hey, guys, welcome in. This is the Intangibles here. Christian Ainsworth. No Price Carter today, who is in Michigan, I believe, on a boat, drinking liquor, living the good life with his family. Well-deserved break for Price Carter. If you guys want to, stick with the football stuff, his follow is at Price A Carter on Twitter. We both went to training camp over the past couple of weeks and saw a whole lot of stuff. So I'm excited to get in there with you and talk about it. First things first, though, football is back. First off-season game, preseason game is this Friday with the Chargers and the Lions, which I don't know how good of a game it's going to be. It's the first week of preseason, but it is fantastic. The dopamine, like Price said in the intro, it's flowing. We are ready for football again. I don't know about you guys, but it's been so long. I'm just excited to get going. Ooh. So as I said earlier, me and Price went to training camp this past week, and we saw a whole lot of stuff. But before we go into that, I think we should recap some of the major offseason moves for the Kansas City Chiefs. So Karlaftis, if you guys didn't know, signed an extension, 4 years worth $93 million. This sets him up running through the 2030 season, $62 million, fully guaranteed, well-deserved, obviously. Been a stalwart defensive end for this team for a really long time. And he will be here for a very long time after the end of his rookie contract. So excited there. Rashee Rice is going to be suspended at some point. We know that. I'm trying to remember the legal side of it, but essentially, it's gone through. He has probation for the next 2 or 3 years. And the pros are estimating here it's going to be about a 4 to 6 game suspension. Now, that's a little bit less than what we were expecting going into this season. We kind of expected that 6 to 8. So it'll be nice having Rashee Rice for 90% of the season. And finally, all rookies are signed. Omar Norman-Lott, the one guy we were waiting on to sign, has finally signed his rookie contract. So we have all of our people in camp. Everybody's here who is going to be here, and we are off to the races. If you guys have any questions or want to talk to me during the podcast, don't be afraid to throw it in the chat. I know we've got a few. Oh, Price. I was going to shout out Price here too. Price, if you're watching, we miss you, buddy. Come back. We sorely miss your hot takes and quotable quotes there. So if you've got here, or if you're here and you want to say something as well, just throw it in the chat as well. So let's talk about training camp. So I went there today. As you can tell by my beet red face, it was about 10,000 degrees. And I saw a whole lot. And I should pull my notes up here really quick too. I went by myself today, and I went once with Price. So there's a few players I'd like to shout out here. I'm going to do a stock up, stock down, and then a neutral stock. So my stock is up on these players, and then stock down obviously is people I'm a little bit lower on, and then neutral for the players who haven't impressed but haven't depressed us while we're watching them. So first player here is Omar Norman-Lott. He has been skyrocketing. Terez Paylor, shout out to him on Twitter. He's a great follow. Posted a clip of him absolutely bullying Trey Smith, the $500 million man, or however much his extension was. He has been the talk of the camp. Now, something about his speed. Maybe it's he got a little bit of extra rest coming into this camp because he held out until that contract got figured out. But he was fantastic. Whenever me and Price were there, that was the one thing we noticed. He is athletic. He is fast. He uses those hands. Very powerful too. That was what the rep against Trey Smith is he got his hands inside, lifted him up, did that forklift technique that we talked about in his draft evaluation, and just lifted him up off the ground and pushed him back into the quarterback. Now, there's not a lot of players that can do that, especially defensive tackles in the NFL. Excuse me. There are not a lot of people who have that ability. So for Omar Norman-Lott to show it that quickly and to be doing it in his rookie year, I mean, there's something to be said about that. There are not very many players that have done that in the past. And he is one of them. And the speed, strength, technique, it's all there. Now, again, the major question is he going to be able to hold up for an entire season? We'll see. You know, he was a rotational guy at Tennessee where he was, or Texas. And so he didn't get, he wasn't playing 90, 100% of the snaps. But then again, neither does Chris Jones. And there's a reason that those guys play so few snaps is they're so good rushing the passer that they like to save them for those third down, those fourth downs that are important. This could be the best pass rusher to go up alongside Chris Jones that we've had since Frank Clark. And I know that's not saying a lot because, Frank Clark was so up and down during the regular season, but Omar Norman-Lott is like that. He has that type of potential. It's showing up, and everybody is talking about it. I mean, he has earned first-team reps. I know they give those out to everybody, but he has earned his. And I'm very, very excited to see where, he's going to end up going into the season. So first player, Omar Norman-Lott. Second, Brashard Smith. Shout out to my Twitter, at Chris_Ains32. I posted an incredible clip of him running out of the backfield. This is our running back that we drafted late in the draft. The burst is there, man. Like he looks like a different type of athlete out there on the practice field. This is a guy who, coming out of college, we knew had a lot of burst, knew he was very athletic, but he was not exactly polished as a runner. Pretty light as well. He was a wide receiver convert. But that seems to be working in his favor. He is running perfect routes out of the backfield, receiving prowess. All of that was on full display while we were there. My note here from the training camp was Brashard Smith looks different. He is just different out there. You have your athletes like Isaiah Pacheco and Xavier Worthy, but his size combined with his speed is not something we have on the team outside of him. So burst was very, very obvious. But he was an absolute burner out there, did very, very well. Taquan Thornton, another guy who is making a name for himself at Chiefs training camp. Route running is refined. Now, that was something that we had talked about a little bit with him coming out when he was being drafted. He is super, super fast. Now, he looks like Kevin Durant with his spindly arms and, wrists and ankles that you could wrap your middle finger around. But he is athletic. He looks like he's holding up and is a little bit stronger, which, we definitely need. That was kind of his big knock. And he's had multiple connections with Mahomes, especially the days that I was there. We were watching him and Price that first day, and he made a few contested catches that were like, oh, okay, this is a real conversation about the wide receiver room and where he's going to fit. Like, this is not the throwaway guy that the Patriots saw who can't make their wide receiver room. This is like, okay, we have a conversation now about, is he going to be on the roster or is he not going to make it? And I think when you look at that wide receiver room in whole or at whole, there are a few players that you'd like to see gone, I think, at this point, with Sky Moore. Another guy, Elijah Badger, who's, done a very good job. Won't make my list here, but that's who you're thinking about now as the guys are going to leave. It's not Tyquan Thornton anymore. If I had to make a bet, he's going to make the roster. and maybe play some snaps when, Juju Smith-Schuster goes down or, there's another injury to that wide receiver room. So Taquan Thornton has been fantastic. Nico Remigio, this dude has special teams on lock. He's going to make the roster as the punt returner, as the kick returner. We talked about Taquan Thornton and Brashard Smith, and for all of those guys, all of the talk about them having the juice to be back there and return the football, they do not have it. They, for one reason or another, whether it's Taquan Thornton, who can't really find and track the ball in the air, which is a legit skill, getting underneath it, catching it and getting upfield and having that vision. It's a skill that you have to refine or you have to have going into camp and going into the NFL. Nico Remigio is a natural with the ball in his hands, and he's very, very good at tracking it. I know that this is a position that hasn't been exactly stable over the past couple of years, but I think Nico Remigio, with all of this extra time that he spent doing this and not necessarily focusing on the receiver side, I think it's done him a lot of good. I think that's what makes him a lock for this position. He just, like I said, with Brashard Smith and Taquan Thornton, just getting underneath of it, they just can't seem to get that. And that's fine. Brashard Smith is a first-year player. Taquan Thornton can, make the roster doing other things as well, especially with the Rashee Rice suspension looming. It's kind of like, okay, we're going to have an extra guy anyway for a certain amount of time. But Nico is a lock. Again, I just think Sky Moore is going to be the odd man out here, which is unfortunate for him. I think he was a good prospect, but just doesn't look like he's going to make it. Rashee Rice, my last stock up guy. Listen, he's the best wide receiver on the team. I don't think it's close. Speed is back. He is not like Andrew Wiley or some of these other guys who have gotten injured and are kind of babying that leg getting back for an athlete. Anytime you have a lower leg injury, it's super, super difficult to trust it again and make sure you could put all your pressure on it and cuts. There is no indication that he has injured his leg. And I know we lost the Super Bowl and it sucks, but I think him getting injured last year so early against the Chargers was kind of a blessing in disguise here because, he's had enough time to trust that leg, get back fluid in his movement, make sure, there are no lagging muscle development. Anytime you have an injury, one side is going to deteriorate the muscle. And so you have him building that back up. It doesn't look like he's off or running weird or anything like that. But he's going to be better than he was in 2024. And I don't think that's, I said this on Twitter earlier, 1,000 yards, no matter what, like, even if he gets suspended for 6 games, I think he's going to have 1,000 yards. Like, that is how quick he's moving. That's how smart he is on his routes. He had one today on Trent McDuffie, which again, I'll plug my Twitter here at Chris_Ains32. I posted a video of it. He's on the line. It's press coverage against Trent McDuffie, and he beats him off the line. So there are 4 parts of the route, right? You have your release, you have the stem, which is you running down the field. You have the break, which is you stepping and slowing down. And then you have the acceleration out of the break. He beat Trent McDuffie on every single one of those. He beat him off the line with his hands, which wasn't known for in college. He beats him in the stem. So he's creating separation there. He hits the brakes on a comeback or on a hitch, and creates separation at the top, and then he explodes out of it and runs straight back to the football. That's like Amon-Ra St. Brown. That is not, a guy who had a lucky 3-game stretch at the beginning of last year. No, that is a legit receiving threat. Patrick Mahomes has been stated on multiple occasions he looks better than he has been the past couple of years, and he is not lying. He's going to be a stud. Big Dame 2,500. I just saw that you posted there. Norman-Lott going to beast. Norman-Lott's going to feast, big dog. He is going to get a lot of reps. And, we like to save Charles Omenihu for the playoffs, although that's not necessarily been intentional over the past couple of years. But he is going to get a lot of reps, and he is going to feast on some of these teams with interior offensive line issues like the Chargers or or the Raiders as well. Those are going to be major matchups that he's going to get a significant bump on his PFF grade for. All right, so for my stock down players, I've got 4 guys here. They're all receiving options, so I know that you're not going to hear any Omar Norman-Lott or Ashton Genty slander here. Okay, these are guys that I know. This is a position that I know really, really well. So that's what I decided to roll with. So Xavier Worthy, stock down. Xavier's had a very, very tough camp so far. On the first day we were there, I mean, and again, take this with a grain of salt. This is preseason training camp stuff. So, it's maybe not indicative 100% of what is going to happen throughout the season, but he's had multiple drops. And last year, he kind of struggled with his spacing and going over under defenders out in the route, which is typical for a rookie wide receiver. Showed the explosiveness, but there were 2 things that I think he really kind of struggled with, and that one of them was drops. The other one was his spacing and consistency on the sideline catches. So that's when you saw Mahomes throw one out of bounds, or throw it and he catches it and he's out of bounds. That was another problem this year in camp. And again, I went today. You see the body catches where he's not catching with his hands out. You know what I mean? He's catching like this, keeping it in close to his chest. That's not how you want to do it. Makes it much, much easier on the cornerbacks who are guarding you to slap it out and, bounce off your chest, things like that. Xavier Worthy's had a lot of trouble with that. Anytime you see a highlight on Twitter as well of him catching the football, it's up against his chest, which is, I mean, it's not great. It's not something you teach people to do, but it is a concern. It's maybe not going to limit his production in the ways you might think. It's not like that's what's going to prevent him from being a 1,000-yard receiver, but there's a reason Quinton Johnson is getting shit talked right now on Twitter, and that's because he's doing the same exact thing. Like, looks fantastic on his routes, has the speed, has the size, just can't haul it in. And so, if you're looking for a Quinton Johnson type receiver out of your first round guy, that's something. But, I think we expect a little bit more out of Xavier Worthy. I certainly do, especially with, the draft position and where he came from as well. So my next guy that I have on the list is Jaylen Royals. Stock down on Jaylen Royals. He was very, very stiff throughout his routes. So when he's running his routes out there on the 7-on-7 or 11-on-11, when they ran full team stuff, just looked a little slow. Like maybe he was tight, nervous. I mean, that's fine. It could just be, his nerves, but I think it's also something to be said that, he came from a system where he only played one side of the field and ran 2 or 3 routes. It's incredibly difficult to come from a system like that and have success in the NFL. That's why when Rashee Rice came out and did what he did, everybody, their jaws were on the floor. It's like, man, you drafted this guy and he's playing completely not what he did in college and doing it really, really well. You'll have to look for Jaylen Royals to make that same sort of transition. Chiefs training camp news here. Rice gets 4 games. I think the league takes into account his injury from last season. Worthy needs to get upfield more. He got straight line speed, but his cuts aren't great. 2 feet in, awareness. Awareness is the key word there, Chiefs training camp. 100%. He's lacking that a little bit. And Jaylen Royals, a little bit different here. I don't want to get off my Jaylen Royals train yet and sell all my stock, but now might be the time to buy. That's what they say. Stock goes down, you got to buy. This could be where a lot of people hop on the train of Jaylen Royals. And, if you think he can make that transition like Rashee Rice did, then everything's going to be fine. If you're a little bit more skeptical like I am and some of the other people that are covering the team, then you're a little scared, just a little bit, not too much. Again, it's, this is first week of padded practice, nothing to sneeze at, but also, nobody's dying from, first week of padded camp. But again, Chiefs training camp news. Thank you for your support. Awareness is the key word there. And that goes for all wide receivers as well, not just Xavier Worthy and Jaylen Royals. That's Rashee Rice as well. So my third guy for the stock down, excuse me, I'll tell you what, that Red Bull that I had before this is just killing me. I don't know what the deal is. So Jared Wiley. You guys know Jared Wiley got injured sort of early. I guess it was like week 9 of last year's season with his ACL. And he's ahead of schedule. That needs to be pointed out. He is ahead of schedule on his recovery. Not fantastic. Not fantastic on his route running. He's kind of ginger on it. Running super gingerly on that. Not super trusting of the cuts yet, which again is fine. But I mean, you expect a guy who's on the field to play and play well. And Jared Wiley is not doing that right now. Very, very slow in and out of his breaks. Doesn't like to cut off of that leg. Again, it's all part of the recovery, but we hold our guys to a higher standard here, right? This is the Kansas City Chiefs. If you're going to be playing reps, we don't want you to just, half-ass run down the field. Not that that's under his control 100%, but again, we still just need to see him recover completely. Just because you're back on the field doesn't mean you're mentally or physically 100%. And I think Jared Wiley has a ways to go. My last guy, Jaylen Watson, stock down. He's been kind of the target in training camp here. And when we saw him rotating in, especially today as well, Noel Williams was the first guy getting the first team reps. And part of that's because, he's the new guy. You want to see him, get his energy up, get him running with the ones. But he was getting burnt all over the place. And I know it's 7-on-7. I know it's, training camp. But that's not something you want to see by Jaylen Watson, a guy who has been very, very good when he's been on the field and not injured. One of the best guys to take the ball away as well. Just would like to see him a little bit better, a little less handsy. I don't think this is anything super, super worrisome once again, but it is something to monitor. We'll check in on him first couple weeks of the season, maybe some preseason stuff. But it wouldn't surprise me if Noel Williams takes those first team reps on Sundays as well. Like Noel Williams has been that guy too. I didn't want to make that stock up list 50 players long because we definitely could have. We've seen a lot of good stuff. But Noel Williams, definitely a guy who is threatening spots. And that's not to mention the guy we signed from the Chargers as well, who's going to come in and play some good snaps too. So lots to watch there. Just a few more notes I had from Chiefs training camp, and then we'll get into a little player spotlight, and then around the NFL or the AFC, excuse me. I have, let's see. So today, Elijah Badger's another guy who I feel like had a really, really good camp. Again, highlights all on my Twitter. Check Price's Twitter as well at Price A. Carter. Lots of really, really good highlights from him. Jaden Hicks, dude, he's going to be better than Justin Reed, and it's not going to be close. Another guy who's just going to come in and be the Steve Spagnuolo DB that got drafted late, and it's going to be fantastic. Training camp stock reports about as valuable as Enron accounting reports. You do got to take it with a grain of salt here, guys. I'm not saying, buy in all this stock and put your heart and soul into these camp reports, but I do think it's something to monitor. This is like, to me, this is plot points on a graph, right? So we're looking at this and we're saying, hey, listen, Elijah Badger had a good camp. We'll just say here, let me pick a different example here. Jared Wiley not having a good camp. Still looks like he's injured a little bit. The tight end room isn't super deep, but who's going to come up and take those reps? Like, is it possible? And then we go into week 1 and it's like, hey, this was the questions we had about him in the training camp. Like, hey, he's got the ACL tear. Maybe he's just not ready yet. And then we go week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. And then you get to week 6 or week 7 and you're like, man, I don't know. I don't think that it's just that, but it could be something else. Maybe he's not doing as well there. And I think once you look back, you kind of plot those points and you look back and you go, okay, all right, this is what we're looking at. This is what the trajectory looks at for this player. And then if you're like me, you do a little sports gambling, make a little money. Okay, we do have a DraftKings ad read, although not today. I know, but running with the ones reports getting too much. Yeah, I like to say it just because it sounds good. You know what I mean? Not 100%, but it does. It is nice to see some players working in with the ones. That is kind of an every player thing, but I mean, you'll see guys like Isapole who are not going to be able to, or who haven't run no reps with the ones, and you go, okay, I know he's a UDFA, but still surprising that he hasn't gotten any reps. I do think it is a slight indicator of how well a player is doing in camp and the trust in them. Daniel Boardman, my aunt's double wide trailer has the same wallpaper that's peeling off behind you. I think they bought it 20 years ago. Yeah. So I actually just got back into Mizzou for my college. Graduated semi-recently, I guess about a year ago, with a degree in education. I'm going back for a bachelor's in psychology as well. So, this is the parents' house. I'll let them know that they need to update their shit. I've been telling them that for a while, but maybe your comment will get through to them. Okay. So, player spotlight here. I want to shout out Chamarri Conner, who I feel like's kind of got a bad rap over the past couple of years. Played really, really well his rookie year as a safety and as that kind of sort of third nickel dime safety that came in, played some slot snaps, but wasn't asked to do that exclusively. He's just one of those guys that I feel like is such a glue guy and somebody who has given up a lot just for the betterment of the team. We saw him come in and play a whole lot of slot snaps, and that's not exactly what he was drafted to do. I know that they asked him to do that, but they drafted him as that safety. That's what he was in college. I think that he was an okay player in college, but pretty good prospect. Excuse me again. But he's a guy that I see who a lot of people are down on that should be pretty high on him. I mean, again, you look at Trent McDuffie and how he played out of position on the outside as a cornerback this past year. And he was thrust into that position. Obviously, he's a first-round pick and one of the best cornerbacks in the league. So he handled it incredibly well because he's a badass. But Chamarri Conner, I mean, not necessarily that same draft stock. He was brought in and was supposed to be that safety and ended up playing some nickel and slot snaps for us. That's hard to do. And I think now that we have this cornerback room that has gotten better and is a little bit deeper than it was this past year, I think you'll see him make a transition back to what he was his rookie year. And I know it's fun to hate on the Chiefs DBs. Believe me, I've been doing it since Orlando Scandrick graced our presence with his presence on the field. But Chamarri Conner doesn't deserve that type of rap. And I think he'll do a whole lot better for this upcoming year. A PFF score last year was a 68.2 overall grade. Again, I don't think that's indicative of what he's bringing to the table. And DB is one of those groups we've talked about a few times where you have a guy who comes in, and if he's the best on your team, everybody moves down a slot. So if you're, let's say, I mean, it was like when Trent McDuffie got drafted. It's like, okay, L'Jarius Sneed is your one. Now L'Jarius Sneed is your two because Trent McDuffie got drafted, and now every position has been upgraded essentially. I think that's what's going to happen. I think Chamarri Conner is going to be able to be put in his right position. I think the DB group is going to be even better than last year, which is saying something. It just seems like the Chiefs just get better and better and better and better every single year, and we never lose anything, which I think why some of these teams around the AFC West are so pissed at us. But, we've had our time of being shitty. Let's take advantage of this being awesome for a while and revel in it. All right, so my last segment here around the AFC West, I'm just going to go through the other three teams of the AFC West and how their camps have been going. I know we like to focus here on the Chiefs. This is a Chiefs podcast. But I think it's important to look at these other teams and see how well they're doing, see some of their drama, which it seems like the Chiefs don't ever have any offseason drama. If you're a Raiders fan or a Chargers fan at this point, I feel very sorry for you, because we're about to dive into, some of the crap that's been going on in your locker room. Chargers first. I don't know if you guys saw Rashawn Slater signed an extension, making him the highest paid left tackle in the NFL. It was a long time coming. It's a perfect signing. Chargers did something right for once. He's been looking forward to this for a while, and again, he absolutely deserves it. He's one of the best tackles in the league. And the Chargers really need somebody to come in there and be the stalwart of that defensive or the offensive line, excuse me. He's been that guy, and he hasn't been super injury prone. Again, he's probably a top 5, top 7 left tackle in the league, so good for them. Quinton Johnson has gotten better at running routes, but he still hasn't learned to catch the football. Dude, we threw a little shade at him when we were talking about Xavier Worthy. Dude, it's just anytime I'm watching Quinton Johnson, he was my wide receiver 1 in that draft with Zay Flowers, who's I think done a lot better than him, and Jordan Addison. Dude, he's like Jerry Jeudy, whereas like he's running these routes and they look fantastic, beautiful. He's got speed, he's got height, and he just can't catch the damn ball. That's why I'm so hard on Xavier Worthy as well. It's like, dude, I do not want to see Quinton Johnson in KC be Xavier Worthy, and he doesn't have the height or the strength of Quinton Johnson. So again, you'd love to see him work on that, but Quinton Johnson just seems like that's who he is at this point. So he's not going to be fantastic, and nor do they expect him to be at this point. Keandre Lambert Smith, the wide receiver from Auburn in the 5th round, for all my draft buddies out there, he's been cooking defenders. Like it's barbecue chicken anytime he steps on the field. He has been balling this preseason, this training camp. Absolute stud, like super fast. I think he's probably going to be the 2nd or 3rd wide receiver on this Chargers team. That's saying something, considering they just invested a 2nd rounder in Trey Smith, or excuse me, Trey Harris from Ole Miss. Him being the 2nd best, I mean, you got to find talent everywhere. I don't know what that says about Trey Harris or how well he's going to be in the future, how good he's going to do, or what, his outlook is there, but it is something to be said that their 2nd or 3rd best wide receiver is a 5th rounder out of Auburn. We knew they weren't going to pass the ball a whole bunch. This is just going to ensure that, guys. So we beefed up the interior defensive line. We're going to be all right when we play the Chargers. Last thing, so few people have shown up to camp that Chargers fans are inviting Raiders fans. I don't know if you guys have looked at that on Twitter. Crazy. There are so many people in Raiders jerseys at the Chargers stadium, and they're all invited. That's the crazy part. Well, I don't know about all of them, but a lot of them have been invited, and there is infighting in this Charger fan base where it's like, God dang, guys, get off the couch, go support our boys. Pretty nice to not have that problem in KC. For the Raiders, the Christian Wilkins situation is insane. He was released from the team. Apparently, this was reported today per Adam Schefter on Pat McAfee's show. He was released from the team for attempting to kiss another player on the top of a head. I'll be honest, man, I'm not buying that. Like the friendliness, the overly friendly guy. I mean, we have all had friends like that, a little too handsy. You gotta, hit him a few times. That's Christian Wilkins could be like that. But it seems like there's a little bit more of the story that we're going to figure out in, a month or two. And I don't know how much you guys have watched Christian Wilkins. He played for the Dolphins for a little while. He's been seen playing grab ass at the bottom of some dog piles on the field. Now, listen, I never played O-line. I don't know how y'all get down, but, grabbing stuff is not unheard of. It's just I've seen too many dog piles with his hand a little too close to another man's areas. So not great for them. As a player, you'd love to see him in KC, but I don't know if Chris Jones will go for that. So maybe just leave him on the waiver wire there. Ashton Genty looks just as good as he did in college. Yeah, we knew they were Raiders were eventually gonna hit on a first round pick, right? So Ashton Genty is a stud. He's been fantastic. Looks like a receiving threat, looks like a running threat. They coached that stand-up Michael Myers in the backfield out of him, so he's actually going to look like an actual running back, so that'll be cool. But he does lose some aura points for that. So Raiders, maybe I would have left it alone. I don't know. But Dante Thornton, the wide receiver from Tennessee, he was that fourth rounder that runs like a 4.3 and a 6'5", 205 pounds, looks like the Slim Reaper. He's another one of those Kevin Durant builds where you're just super thin and spindly. But he was the guy that was getting Calvin Johnson comparisons all off season and during the draft process. So not exactly. I mean, he's been unguardable as a red zone threat for them in training camp. But I think it's important to remember Kevin Durant puts on pads, he's getting his ass beat. That's just the way it is. Like you got to have some type of mass to you to be able to play the wide receiver position. He does not have that. 6'5", 205 is like literally, oh my God, what's that? Okay, I'll forget the reference here, but Jack Skellington, that's who I was thinking of. Not my best, but yeah, it was all right, I guess. Yeah, that's in pads and not in the game. He's not going to be a super stud, I think, against us. Trent McDuffie, I know he's had trouble against bigger, taller wide receivers. He's going to choke his ass off at the line, and we're going to be good. Kind of a cool story, though. Grady Vance Jr. He's an undrafted CB from USC. Looks like he's going to be the starting nickel corner for the Raiders. And, yeah, we love to see that. Any undrafted guy, especially a cornerback, when they're so traits heavy. It's anytime one of those guys is starting a nickel corner, you're like, oh, okay, Rashee Rice is going to eat. Like, that's just going to be what it is. Greedy Vance Jr. Was an okay prospect coming out. I didn't have him as a great or a draftable player, so he went where I thought he was going to go. But that DB room has to be so bad if Greedy Vance is going to be their starting nickel corner. Gap Mage, I was there Sunday, and Royals, Wiley, and especially Worthy all made plays. That's surprising, dude. I didn't see. I guess I wasn't there yesterday, but even today, still Wiley was looking a little he was walking around a little gingerly on that leg. Worthy made a few plays. Royals had a few good catches. But again, I just have questions about those players. Excited to see that you went, though, dude. If you guys have not been to Chiefs training camp, you need to go. Like, the vibes are immaculate. I was there today. I woke up. I'm dapping people up. Everybody's, their water abounds. You can go buy water for $5, pay that championship tax. Dude, you can hear the players shit talking on the side, like, hey, you better go get him. I saw Rashee Rice and Trent McDuffie jawing at each other a little bit, talking like, oh, yeah, hey, step up. It's your turn. And Rashee Rice goes up to the line and burns him. And then, you don't get that competitive sort of fight, that spirit, unless you're there and you kind of experience that with them. But hey, look at that. And Gap Mage, again, it's crazy, but Rice looks like the quickest dude on the field at times. He's so explosive in the short area and even showed some long speed. Dude, we talked about him earlier, man. Rewind this. He is a stud. If he gets 8 game suspension, I still think he's getting 1,000 yards. Like, that's how good he's been. Throughout this entire training camp process, he has been a stud, a monster. All right, so last, we'll talk about the Broncos here. Wide receiver Courtland Sutton signed a team-friendly deal today, around $23 million per year. Courtland Sutton is kind of the definition of mid. Like, he's had 1,000-yard season. He's been okay. I mean, he was a great prospect coming out. Has size, has speed, has the hands. Part of that's probably just because of the dysfunction in the quarterback room, but, dude, I don't know. Courtland Sutton, I just can't get behind. And this $23 million per year is, I mean, to me, perfect on perfect range for him. $23 million per year. He was aiming for 30. I think even he knew that was a little bit exaggerated. So I would say that's a good signing for them. Bo Nix. We need to talk about Bo Nix, guys. Bo Nix went 12 for 12, 236 yards, 5 touchdowns on the first day of training camp. Excuse me. It's good, and it's training camp, so who knows? But that's the type of performance he's going to have to beat Kansas City. That, like, if you're looking at this and you're a Chiefs fan, I wouldn't say you should be, scared. But this is a situation where, like, you look at that and you go, okay, like, we have legit quarterbacks in the conference now, or in the division, excuse me. Not just Justin Herbert, who is Phillip Rivers light, with the potentially Hall of Fame coach. Like, this is a legit guy, Bo Nix. So again, I mean, it is training camp. You need to think about it in that context, but 12 for 12, 236 yards, 5 touchdowns is great. I mean, like, that's what you want to see out of a young quarterback, and they think it's going to be their year. We'll see. Linebacker Lavell Bailey has shined as well, making most of the reps he's gotten with the ones. He was another guy. He was a standout last year's preseason. Looked to play some really good snaps, did really good. Oh, Gina, this is on my bucket list. Dude, you have to go. You have to go, Gina. This is I mean, for off-season vibes, for any vibes, like, this might be better. I won't say than a playoff game at Arrowhead, but it is like top 5 football experience of all time. You absolutely have to go. And I should be there tomorrow. So if you guys see me there, don't be afraid to say hi, talk a little ball, have a little fun. That's what the off season's for. Right. Anyway, Lavell Bailey, I think he's going to be making a push for the starting spot. Kind of an athletic linebacker, kind of a coverage hybrid type of guy. I don't think he's anybody that the Chiefs need to be worried about, but it is notable that, I think Brett Veach kind of gets a good and a bad rap. Not that he's over or underrated as a GM, but it seems like every preseason and offseason, it's like, oh my God, Veach has done it again. Like, this is happening everywhere. Now, he's done a good job of making the most of the players that he's drafted, but it is one of those situations, again, where, this is not, Brett Veach isn't the Lord and Savior. It's not the second coming because he found Isaiah Pacheco late in the draft, right? Like, he's done okay. He's gotten some good players, no blue chip guys other than Trent McDuffie. And I guess Creed and Trey, to give the devil his due here. But, he's been very good. This isn't, just a KC thing. All right. Daniel Boardman back again. Nazir Johnson needs to play slot behind McDuffie. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. That might be good for him. I don't like Nazir Johnson at all. He can be a good player. It just seems like every time he's out on the field, he's getting picked on. So I like him playing, some snaps. Maybe, you might be right. Hey, let's rotate him in, have Trent McDuffie shadow that number 1, and then maybe have him come in a few plays a game. But to me, he's just a little too green still. It took him a while to get into the league and actually, not be injured. And I think that's kind of stunted his growth as a player. So, all right, last one here. According to Philip Lindsay, Audric Estime, 5th round running back out of last year's draft. They got injured, early on, is causing a ruckus. I don't know why I wrote that, but so yeah, he's been doing some crazy stuff in camp. It looks like he's pissed off that he's going to be the running back 4 or 5, and it is extending to the locker room, which, again, man, I love the Chiefs so much. We never hear about anything like this. We don't have Christian Wilkins who's kissing people on the forehead. We don't have an Audric Estime who's crying about being the 4th or 5th running back, even though he's a sophomore in the league and got injured last year. We keep our shit buttoned up. And I think that that's something that's really, really nice about having the coaching staff and having those guys that we have there in the leadership positions, because it just makes stuff like this look so professional. Like we don't have Tua Tagovailoa in the Dolphins situation where he's like, oh my God, Tyreek Hill shouldn't have said that, what he said this past offseason, where he wanted to get traded to KC, is what he was talking about. It's like, he shouldn't have said that. And he says that in the media, and it's like, yeah, you're right. You probably should do that behind closed doors, though, dude. Like, you don't need to air out your dirty laundry in front of the media. I've heard guys talk around the league. That is not something that they like having happen. They like to air their shit out behind closed doors, man to man. That's where you hear people talking about that all the time in the league. That to me is taking it out of bounds. And I don't know how Tua or Tyreek felt about that situation. But that's not something that you hear a lot here. Even the Shadur Sanders thing, where I think it was his head coach or his OC were talking about him getting his speeding tickets. He's like, we don't do that here in Browns, which they do that there. It's the Browns. But they're saying that's unacceptable. We can't have that, which is true, but you're airing your shit out in front of everybody and in front of the press. And Shadur is not the same player as Rashee Rice. But I will say, anytime they have talked about Rashee Rice that I've seen, it has been buttoned up. We're good. Like, hey, this is, it is what it is. We'll talk about it whenever it gets finished up. And then it gets finished up and they go, yeah, okay. All right. Anyway, I think that about does it. Gina, second cousin was Lynn Dawson. I grew up in Kansas and we went to a lot of games back then in Idaho now. Well, we're sending love from KC. It has been great. Make sure to rep us out there. If you ever make it to training camp, make sure to hit me up on Twitter. Send me a message. Any of you guys, if you're going to be out there, let me know you're going to be there. I need more people for my Dynasty League anyway. So hit me up, see if we can make something happen. Once again, I just appreciate you guys tuning in. Having Price, relax with his family is great. And I'm very happy that I was given this opportunity to kind of fly solo here. But again, we love you, Price. Hope you come back. Be here as soon as possible. Follow him at Price A. Carter on Twitter. My handle is at Chris_Ains32. I need to change that. That's awful. On Twitter. Thank you, producer Richard. You've been fantastic in guiding me through this. I appreciate you guys listening, and go Chiefs.